No, we're not.
And welcome to Hunts on Outfitting Podcast, the only podcast brought to you by Hunts on Outfitting. If you like what you see or hear, whether you're looking at it on YouTube or listening to it on your podcast, we ask that you like and subscribe. It's much appreciated. This week on the podcast, we have Dalton. Dalton, say hi to the folks.
Hi.
And Lane on commentary.
Hi.
And just plain annoyance sometimes. Dalton, above me, if people can't see, we've got a deer. Dalton, what are we looking at here? Give us the overview of what we're seeing for the people that are not watching this, listening to it as a podcast, which is good. We want to see that.
You're looking at an 8-point buck.
Okay.
Mounted on the wall. Anybody else care to describe
So it's a typical 4x4.
Typical 4x4.
We've got some pretty good sized brow tines on it.
Yeah, really good brow tines. He's got a, as working class bow hunter calls it, bot fly hole on his left side, his right side. Sorry.
Okay. Yep.
Other than that, pretty normal. Just a good girthy 8-point buck, really.
How much did this deer weigh? Gutted. Let me ask.
I don't know if we weighed him. I don't know.
I don't think we did.
Guessing he'd have been probably high 100s. He wasn't a giant deer.
So I'm guessing that wasn't you hanging on to the buck too then.
No.
We'd be looking at a lot higher of
yeah,
the
it'd be like
hundreds.
300
Yeah.
or so, yeah, probably.
That'd be conservative.
Yeah, I would say.
Dalton's a healthy looking lad for those of you listening to this. So Dalton, this is out of New Brunswick, Canada, where this deer is taken.
Yep.
What specific area and zone? No, I'm just kidding.
Zone 22.
Zone 22. So in New Brunswick, here in Canada, we have zones instead of counties that you hunt in, basically.
Right.
But if you have a buck tag, you can hunt in any zone.
Any of the zones you can hunt. Yeah,
Unless
there's some that are
There's
closed.
4 zones that you can't hunt at all.
Yeah, and there's some that have a little different seasons, but quite honestly, I'm not well versed in it.
All right.
For the most part, southeastern New Brunswick.
Yeah.
She's wide open.
So Dalton, is there a bit of history with this deer?
Not really, no.
All right, good story, good podcast. Everybody thanks for coming out.
No. I had a few trail camera pictures of him,
Okay.
and that was about it, really. And from the side, he didn't look that impressive. So
Now, how many hours would you have into this buck?
into this one,
Yes, this one here, Dalton.
Well, there'd
Tonight.
be.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I said every day. I hunt every day, at least once a day.
During deer season, or
Yes,
just
yes.
whenever you
Not
feel
every-
like it, because you run the show over at your place.
Not every day.
All right, fair enough.
Yep.
Nice. Now, Lane, did you help Dalton when he got this deer?
No.
This isn't the deer that you helped him with, but you
No.
have helped him with deer in the past.
No. I was sleeping for this one.
With Dalton, or
Nope. On
Okay.
the couch. I
At-
fell asleep after working a night shift, and I woke up to about 7 missed calls from him, and when I woke up, I knew what that meant during deer season.
so Dalton, I want to ask. So you were out hunting, and this buck, you put in a lot of hours in stand, and this buck came out. You shot him, obviously, with something because he's dead.
Yep.
And on the wall, what'd you shoot him with? We want to know. Gun and grains. What are we looking at?
I hunt with a Weatherby Vanguard 30-06, and I shoot 150 grain Federals.
You guys are shooting small rounds for the big guns,
Fast, flat.
Fast and flat, yeah.
Yep.
The opposite of you.
Deadly. If they're deadly when put in the right spot, I mean, you hit that deer anywhere reasonable, it's going to die.
So what week into the season of the 4-week season were you when you got this deer?
3.
Yep.
Yeah.
Week 3, eh? So you're cutting it close. Were you holding up
Yeah.
for this feller?
No, that it's pretty normal for me to wait till at least 3rd week.
Why? Is that your good luck week, or you're
No,
you
where
can't
I'm
get out of bed the first 2 weeks?
That's
Like, what are
right.
we looking at
I
here?
sleep in. No, where I hunt, we get some bucks in the summer that'll come through, and never really anything too big. But later on in the season, you'll start to get cruisers come through, and they'll hang out for a
Like
couple
police
days.
cruisers, or?
No, they'll hang out for a couple days, and anyway, that's usually your chance. Like you got a couple days, and they're gone.
And you know that,
So-
so 3rd week's
3rd week's when it starts.
3rd
getting
week's the
good.
charm.
Yeah, that time you get the first snow. And
So if this buck could come out during the 1st week, you'd be like, no, that's a 3rd week buck right there that I'm looking at.
that's a hard decision I wouldn't want to have to make.
Really, eh?
Yeah.
You'd be hesitant on passing up on him.
Hard to say the first week. I don't want to be put in that position.
Now, Dalton, do you bait? Do you you set up on a deer trail? What are we looking at here for the setup?
I hunt fields.
Okay.
I do bait. I do put some apples out, but I'm not real religious with it. We have a lot of apple trees around us, like just natural ones, and they're so full.
So
all
you've got
summer.
apple
Yeah.
trees dropping apples everywhere, and you're like,
Yeah.
you know what? I'm going to bring some more into this mix. I'm
Well,
gonna set them right
just-
here.
We're getting there. So it takes quite a while for them to even get the apples cleaned up. And then once they start getting them cleaned up, then I'll start putting them out usually like second week or so.
Yeah, we're
just-
like, you know what? It's taking you guys a while to clean this up. I'm going to help out. One for you, one for me. You eat, I eat.
Right.
We all eat.
Keep myself fed. for
Lane
a
goes
couple
out there and tries
weeks.
to get some free bait.
Yeah, so anyway, I will put out bait, but I don't use it religiously. Like my bait is a couple 100 yards from my stand. It's mostly just for pictures, really.
How far would the apples be from your stand?
That's what I mean.
No,
yeah.
the natural.
Oh,
apples.
they're everywhere. They're on every side of me, right? Along the field edges and stuff. But
So the deer
they
have a lot
start-
of options.
yeah, right around the first week of deer season, they start getting pretty cleaned up and pretty rotten and frozen. And you bring some sweeter apples in. If the turkeys don't eat them, then the deer will.
By
but-
sweet, you mean they talk nicely to the deer, like, come
Yes.
on, you're a nice buck. Come on in here, you know?
Exactly.
It's the natural apples
Yeah,
with the
so-
trees on there that are falling. They're not the nice
So I
ones.
hunt. Yeah, so I hunt fields. See quite a ways in every direction, really. Just sit along tree lines and in permanent like box blind stands.
How far would your average shot be?
Well over.
I'm not
100.
asking.
Well over 100. Like
And what
I'm
are you
very-
comfortable taking?
Up to 300. and
Well,
that's-
under 100.
up to 300, and that's situational.
You're not looking much further than that, though,
No,
are you?
That's reasonable. Like, I mean, I'm sure I'm not a great shot, and I
Okay.
get that, but
It takes
also
it takes a big man to admit that,
well,
and you're a big guy, so
it also
Thank you.
takes quite a toll on you too when you get shaking and going on, right? So,
Mhm.
so yeah, 300 is probably my max, which we're gonna
That's fair enough,
We're gonna
yeah.
get into here
Yeah.
soon.
So this buck, so you were the third weekend because that's the holy week there. That's the
Yep.
week that you're waiting out for.
Well, that's when it starts, right? The last week's always the best, but the third week's when it starts really.
Because in New
picking up.
Brunswick here, you guys figured that the last week, the fourth week, which would be into November,
10th or so,
the middle,
maybe a little
the middle
after.
of November, give or take,
The
Yeah,
the
like-
last week's 15th, give or take.
and that's when you guys find the rut really kicks off.
Yeah. I always,
Yeah, for us. I mean, everybody's different, but for
Mhm.
us, yeah, we start getting them cruising bucks that we don't really see all year, right?
And that because the rut's going then.
Yeah, I always Remembrance Day is normally the flip that I really start
Yeah, I
noticing
agree with
cruising.
that.
So that'd be November 11th.
Yeah.
You find after that, that's when the bucks
Yeah.
are cruising.
They're more
Yeah, you-
worried about does than bait piles.
They are on doe patrol.
Yeah, you never know what you're gonna see, right?
What's the weirdest thing you've ever seen? Lane picking your
Probably
apples, eh?
Lane was out stealing my apples.
Yeah, that'd be
because he
weird.
couldn't buy more. Catherine wouldn't let him.
Yeah. right.
So the weirdest thing I've ever seen is probably I was sitting in my stand one morning, and there's some does and kids moved through, and they went through a tree line kind of beside me.
And my
were-
neighbor came in stark
they-
naked.
they were heading kind of away from me, right? And anyway, 5 minutes later, I could hear them blowing and blowing and blowing and blowing, right? Like, you know, when they get,
Yeah.
does get doing that.
Yeah.
Anyway, all of a sudden they darted through, come back right on by me, and I was thinking maybe a buck was coming, and I was all locked and loaded, ready to go. Like, holy moly, what's going to happen, right?
It was one
It
of
was-
your cows.
It was a bobcat. There was
Really?
a bobcat. I have it on video.
That
yeah.
could have worked up, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so I didn't shoot it. He's still alive, as far as I know. So that
But
would probably
the
be
buck
the weirdest
has
thing.
a different story, and that's why we are here
That's right.
tonight.
That's right.
So, all right, we're going down this road again. So your third week.
Yep.
Morning, evening. What's going on with this buck?
Morning.
Morning. He struts out
The
there.
story
He-
starts
or
in the morning.
as you guys say it in your part of the world, cruising.
Yes.
He was cruising out there.
Yeah.
And-
So it was like the most beautiful day ever. Just
Okay.
the day that you picture deer season.
Hey,
you know,
paint
in your
us
head.
a picture where the birds chirping.
Yeah. When
Was the sun shining?
When you're romanticizing about deer season in your head, you're thinking of a morning like this.
Thinking about crunchy
Like
leaves.
you've got crunchy leaves, you got frost, you get the sun coming up
All
real
right.
slow. You know when the sun like warms you up in your stand is one of them mornings.
Yep.
Nice and
feeling it.
cold, nice and still.
You're painting a good picture.
And So
your
over
calendar.
kind of to my left, I guess, over the horizon in the stand, like I'm sitting right along the tree line.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's tree line on both sides of me, and I'm kind of looking out in front of me and over to the sides, right?
Yeah.
And there was does come out, and they were just standing at the top of the fire hill, and it wasn't really anything to be excited about. And anyway, I guess where his story starts, I was sitting there, and you could see these does are starting to get real weird.
I gotta
And-
stop you
yeah.
right there. I've heard of some guys putting their stands more in the ground.
Yep.
Because some, you have your button bucks and all that.
Yep.
And you're looking for a set of like swinging nuts
Yep.
on them to make sure that they are all does or they're not, right?
I've never heard of that, kid.
Okay. All right. Maybe it's just me.
This stands
I'll look
up,
for that.
This stands about 8 feet.
It's
to
like a
your feet,
pendulum. I see
would
that
say. It's not
pendulum
real
going
high.
between the legs. I'm like,
Right.
all right, something's getting the trigger pulled on it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll have to try that.
You
So
should.
anyway, those started getting real spooky, and you could literally see in your binoculars the top of his horn, his antlers, and you could see the breath. You could see the hot breath coming out of his mouth, like it was steaming.
Yep.
It was super cool.
Just
And
like
he
a
was
dragon of
coming,
the
and
woods.
He'd like he'd take a sniff at the ground, right? Pick his head back up and just keep walking. He ignored those does like they weren't even there.
Yep.
Like he had somewhere to be, and it didn't matter if there was.
You think he was in the rut? He was rutting?
Oh, 100%. He was on a hot doe.
Yeah.
But she'd probably come through the night before and just left the trail, right? And he was just following her tracks in the frost, I'm guessing.
She was more of a
I'm
hot
guessing.
mess than a hot doe
Yeah.
at that point.
So
yeah.
he was just trailing her. Anyway, so we come by those does, and there's a gully to my left, probably 50, 80 yards, I guess, at the most, maybe.
Yep.
And it drops off into a bottom between the two fields. Like, there's a ditch runs down it, water runs down it, there's apple trees and everything. So he goes down into this gully, back up, right up in front of me. And by that point, I was vibrating. And so I lined the gun up, and I shot. And I knew I didn't hit him. I knew I missed him.
Why'd you shoot?
What?
Why'd you shoot?
Because I was excited.
Okay.
So anyway, this deer goes back up the hill and kind of goes into the fire tree line, and I shot again. And I thought maybe I had hit him looking back, but obviously I didn't. So I let all the boys know. I called Ryan.
Y'all was like, guys, boys, I missed.
No.
He didn't.
Oh.
He
No.
didn't say you
Oh,
missed.
I
thought
thought
you
I
said-
hit him. I thought I hit him at the time, but I
Oh, I
he-
thought you were saying I missed. If you see a
No.
deer and he's wounded, he's mine. And that's that.
No.
Okay. All right.
So I called Ryan, called the
Because, you know,
landowner
actually,
next
he wouldn't
door,
be.
got permission, and we looked and we looked and we looked, and there was nothing.
Oh, so
Like
you
I-
thought you hit him.
I did.
Oh, he
You
was
did.
very confident.
Oh,
'cause he
confident.
I was-
sent
I
us
was
in a group
confident.
chat.
Confident or almost cocky, one might say.
Yeah, that's a tough line.
It was
to walk.
borderline
Yeah.
there, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
He sent us a Snapchat
Little
that
from
morning.
column A, little from column B is what we're looking at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He sent us a Snapchat of the shell casing on the floor of his tree stand.
I
And it
would
said "Big Buck down."
put that under
He
the
did.
cocky column right there.
And
That's what I do.
The buck was in fact
Yeah.
not down.
Oh.
Yeah.
Definitely cocky. We're just putting a big old check mark right in there. That's what I'd be doing.
All right. So me and Ryan, we looked and looked and looked, and it was pretty clear that I missed him.
Mhm.
So anyway,
Did Ryan feel confident at any point? Like, no, Dalton. Like, I've seen you shoot before.
well, I
You
think he was
definitely
just
got
being
him.
a good friend, I would say.
He was okay.
he was
He was
solid.
bullshitting you a bit.
I would say.
All right.
Well, doing what good friends do. He doesn't want to,
Hurt your
He wants to
feelings.
try
Like,
to help.
oh yeah, no, you.
No,
hit
no.
him.
I think
Yeah,
he
he's
hurt my
good.
feelings. Like, he'll be honest with me, right?
Okay, yeah.
Which is what I want. So anyway,
Would you have taken
Ryan
it well?
told me, I think, and I quote, I think he said, Dalton, I think this deer's still alive. And I was like,
So that
that deer's still alive. He was right.
went from the cocky column to the not
Sad.
so cocky.
Sad.
Oh, the
Yeah, that was borderline. Yeah, pretty much. So that day was pretty long and pretty crappy, I guess you could say.
But you looked him for a while because you thought, like,
Oh,
you
we
know
tried.
what?
We really did
Maybe,
try. Yeah.
maybe I did hit him.
Yeah, we tried, and it just didn't happen.
Mhm.
So
Did you
that
not
was what?
shoot your gun that afternoon to double check? Joe?
Yes, I did. Thank
Oh,
you for
so you
reminding
were
me
really doubting a
that.
lot of things.
Well, I
Gotta make sure.
so I took the gun.
It broke it over my knee because I was
Anyway,
so sad.
We went out, we checked it, and a relative of Elaine's that's like a really good shot too. He shot it just to make sure,
And
and
he thought it was
that
fine.
gun was dead on.
Yeah.
So that was 100% the operator. I take full
And
responsibility.
you
for that.
were the
Operator.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, I was the
Good.
operator.
Just clarifying
Yes,
everything
no,
for
I
everyone
missed it
listening.
here.
Okay, good.
So,
Yep.
so anyway, checked the gun. Gun was fine. So we knew what went wrong. So that night, so let me start by saying, so you've got a stand kind of 300 yards to the south of this that was my grandfather's old stand.
Yeah, we're not going to get too complicated here.
Well,
But there's a stand about 300 yards away.
yeah,
That's what
it
you're
was my
telling me.
grandfather's old stand. And,
Yeah.
and we, like, I used to hunt out of that with him when I was younger. And I shot my first deer out of that. And anyway, it's in a good spot. I built the new one that was a little more comfortable and a little bigger. And anyway, I thought
Figured it was fitting for a cocky guy like yourself.
Right. So anyway, went over there and sat that night. Now so my grandfather passed the year before that. So 2021, I believe.
2 seasons before that.
2 seasons?
The year your 10 point.
Yeah, the season before that.
You shot your 6 point in the middle.
You got a point there. 2020. So anyway, that season I hadn't sat in that stand, right?
Yeah.
So anyway,
Was it because your grandfather had passed?
No, not at all. No, I had
Yes.
hunted it since.
You were superstitious about it?
No, I don't know what it was really. I just was excited about my new stand and kind of just spent some time. Really, that was it. Like
You saw it like tradition over here, and you took another path.
pretty much.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So anyway, sat in that, and so I sat there for a while, and I'm thinking about him and hunting there and stuff, right? And
Getting sentimental.
yeah, no, it was actually quite neat. And anyway, so I'm sitting there, and I'm hanging my head and whining to myself about missing that deer and calling myself an idiot, all the stuff you do.
Out loud?
Yes, oh definitely,
Okay.
yeah, yelling it.
So you weren't being quiet in the deer stand,
I was
basically, is what
being
you're telling
quiet,
us.
Yes.
Another
Yes.
mistake of a cocky person.
So anyway, I'm sitting there, and that stand sits in the corner of a field, like the back corner of a field, and I can see probably 400 yards in front of me.
Yep.
I can see 400 yards in front of me and to one side.
But as you stated earlier, 300 yards was your max
Correct.
for shooting.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
So, thank you for pointing that out.
Yes.
So
I feel like people
anyway,
need to know that.
so in front of me, there's basically just bushes and apple trees and just a bunch of junk on the side of the field. And way up, there's a knoll, probably, I'd say close to 300 yards away.
And who's Noel?
Anyway, there's an apple tree just over it. And anyway, really good spot for the deer to come out. But
Yep.
normally you'll just kind of see a head poking out or whatever, right?
Of a deer.
Of a
Okay.
deer.
I was like a
So-
nosy neighbor or what, but okay. Yeah.
So I'm sitting there, and I can see, like, it just looked like a real white thing in front of me.
Okay.
Keep in mind, we're only 300 yards away from where I missed that deer this morning. And I could see this, like, this white and then this kind of dark in it, but it wasn't shaped like a deer. And I put my binoculars up, and I could see this exact same deer that I missed that morning standing there, and all I could see was his ass. And he was raking the trees. I could see his antlers going up and down. And I could see his brow tines.
And his ass, as you put it.
Yeah. Yep.
Not bad, eh? For a buck or
Pretty good.
like
So
could have fit in the apple bottom jeans
Right.
kind of thing. All right.
So where he was standing,
Did that distract you any from
100%.
it? Did. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So anyway, he was sitting there raking a tree and just messing around like nobody had shot him
Just
that morning.
shaking it like he got it from his mama kind of thing.
Right. So anyway, he definitely wasn't acting like somebody had shot at him and missed him that morning.
He was feeling cocky, you might say,
He was, yes.
and confident.
So anyway, he was standing there, and he just calm. And anyway, there was no shot where he was standing, and we're at like the outer limits of my shooting range. Like we're at 300.
Yep.
Easy. So I had the gun up, and I just basically, when he leaves that tree, he's either gonna go back in the woods or he's gonna split around a pond that's at the far that's down there past that tree. He has to go either around the pond or back into the woods. So there's a 50-50 chance. that he's going to go back in the woods, and a 50-50 chance he's going to go out in the field, and he has to come out, and he has to go broadside if he goes that way. So I'm sitting there, the scope zoomed out, just waiting for him to start moving, right? Might happen, might not. And I had enough time to get the nerves out. I had enough time, like, I had just sat there and waited on him, right?
Yep.
Anyway, eventually he did come out, and he did go the way that I wanted him to. And when he got to where I wanted him broadside, that's when I let him have it.
And that time, he went down.
That time, so a shot, and the way that he reacted, like he was dragging his front leg. So I was like, okay, I'm just
like he was screwing with you, or like he was hit?
No, he was hit hard, and he was hit
okay.
hard. So I waited and waited. Like I gave it probably 20 minutes or so, and I walked to where I had shot him, and there was hair, and there was white and brown blood. So I knew there's a pretty good chance I got quite a piece of his front leg, if not his front shoulder.
Yep.
So
you felt good with that shot.
I was very confident with that shot. Yes.
Better than the morning shot.
Well, probably, yeah, but with the hesitation of the morning shot, probably not, right?
Okay. A little bit of reserve after how that went down. Yeah.
Right. So I show him my flashlight, and you can see him laying there, and I have a picture on my phone of him laying there, and you can just see one side of his rack sticking up. I still have it on my phone.
Yep.
Anyway, and there he was.
Dead.
As a doornail.
So what was the Snapchat looking this time? The deer, not the shell?
I believe there was big buck down, said, I'm going to say 12 times in a row.
Yep.
Yeah. I was pretty pumped.
And then he sent a picture of it laying on the ground and said, I got him this time, fuckers.
Yeah.
There's a bit of smack talk earlier, I'm guessing.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, those are your buddies. That's what they're there for, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Cut you down a couple pegs.
Well, that's how it works. So anyway, yeah, I then went back, and I got the bike and drug him out and got him gutted. And
so he was dead then?
Oh, he was very dead.
You're confident?
I was pretty confident when I had him behind my four-wheeler, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you imagine, though, if you'd left and...
Coyotes came and got him?
Not even that. Turns out you just scared him with a shot. He ran into a tree, knocked himself out, then came to as you were gone, like, holy shit, that hurt, and that was loud, and then just went off, you know what I mean?
Well, it could be.
At least you got him that time, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, Lane, you were out to see him?
No. I had to go to work.
Okay, you didn't go see him that all?
No, I think Ryan came out again. Yeah.
So Ryan came on the morning search.
And the night, yeah. Ryan wanted to see what the deer looked like too. So.
Yeah, that was actually killed. Not just the shell.
Yeah, he didn't just want to look at his footprints, so he came out.
Yeah, the dead deer itself and to see the antlers and all that is strikingly more amusing and interesting to look at than the footprints in and of themselves. Correct?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So that was it. And you didn't weigh him, eh?
No, we didn't.
Big old deer like that.
I don't have a set of scales. And
no.
Yeah,
we can tell. No, it's kidding. For the deer, right? Yeah.
I did not weigh him. I don't think I've ever weighed a deer that I can think of.
Really?
Yep.
I'd just be curious, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he was a deer. Now, did you have pictures of him during the summer and stuff like that? No, you didn't.
No, I had a few pictures that I'm pretty sure were him, just night pictures coming through, just side pictures. But I had no idea what the brow tines were like until he looked at me, and that really. So the deer that I killed the year before, without getting too into it, had no brow tines, which was
at all.
No.
And this one here, if those people that can't see it, he's got pretty good sized brow tines. Really,
yeah,
they're big. Yeah,
they're a little dramatic for the size of them, I would say. Even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another good brow tines.
Yeah, so I was destined to find brow tines, and I did.
And that's what you got out of it.
Yep.
Dalton?
Yeah.
That's a good story.
Thank you.
People that can't see it, it's a nice deer. People that can see it, you know what we're talking about. And everyone else, thank you for listening and or watching this episode of Hunts on Outfitting Podcast. Good night.